What's up, duelists? Today, banger video. But before we get into that, of course, RBET Orlando, October 7th. If you haven't already entered RBET Orlando, what are you actually doing? Book your flight today. Book your flight yesterday. Get a hotel room. Come play Edison format with the best of the best. Your favorite YouTuber is going to be there. Your favorite content creators, your favorite players, your favorite everything. Shonen Jump prize, custom mats for top 8. Everything is going to be about this event for the rest of the year, plus, of course, the other two RBETs, which, there's a couple online ones. But you know what? This is the big event for the rest of the year. So if you want to play Edison at the biggest event for the rest of the year, you know what to do. That is the wrong tab. All right, today I'm playing Chaos Quickdraw. This is my Chaos Quickdraw list. I like playing these cards. That is what I will say. I like playing Quickdraw, Dandelion, and Debris Dragon. I don't think this deck is bad. I think it's kind of legit. So far, I've had middling success with the deck. I've found it's very skill testing. Most of the games that I mess up, I lose. And most of the games that I don't mess up, I am rewarded for picking something based. This list is a little bit different because we're not playing this guy right here, Lone Fire, and we're not playing Titanial. So we're not playing those cards because when you draw Titanial, sometimes it can be pretty dead in your hand. So we're not going to be playing that. We're also only playing 2 Pot of Avarice. Normally people play 3. Because the card is so powerful, it's kind of the biggest draw to play this deck. But I am instead playing 2 Pot of Avarice, and I'm playing 1 Chaos Sorcerer as sort of my third Pot of Avarice. I think Chaos Sorcerer is pretty strong. I think he's kind of a slept-on little guy. He's just a little guy. He's smaller than Caius. He's, he's probably 4'6" if I had to estimate. Maybe 4'5". It's just, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a short king, but he's just got a small attack stat, so it's just sometimes you want to play with the little guy, not the big girl, you know what I'm saying? You want to play with the little guy. Anyway, Tragodia Gores, they're darks, Knight Assailant is a way to keep card advantage, and it's a way to justify playing 2 Quickdraw. I do want to play 2 Quickdraw because I do want to summon Drill Warrior. I think he's really good, but you can't really justify 2 of them without some pretty good pitch fodder, and so we've got Treeborn and Knight Assailant as supplemental pitch fodder for either Quickdraw or Drill Warrior. Debris Dandy, nothing to say. Best cards in the deck. I think Debris Dragon might be the best card in the deck. I actually want to go up to 3. I kind of want to cut a hamster and go up to 3 Debris Dragon because I've been really impressed with this card. I think it's just very strong. We've got Lila because we're playing Chaos. We got double Thunder King, double Honest. I've been really impressed with Honest. Every time I draw it, I'm pretty happy, except for in some matchups. But for the most part, it's really good. It helps you back up your Lila, your Thunder King, or actually your Ancient Fairy Dragon. A lot of the times, Debris Dragon is kind of sus. You summon it, and you just get kind of a shitty Synchro Monster that your opponent steals with Goyo. But if you have Honest in your hand, it's actually insane. Debris Dragon becomes one of the best 1-card Synchros in the game. You summon it, you get 2 tokens, you get an Ancient Fairy, and you got that Honest to back it up. It's pretty hard for people to come back from that. So, good stuff there. And then we got 1 Compulsory to help reuse our Caiuses, our Chaos Sorcerers, and sometimes just bounce our Debris Dragon. Let's say they book one of your guys, let's say you summon Debris, they special Dandy, they book one of your guys, you can compulsory back your monster, start over again. And then sometimes you can set it, and if you need to Black Rose, you can compulsory Black Rose, so at least you can do it again later. It's just a good utility card in this deck. It also works defensively against Absolute Zero, which is one of the biggest threats in the game, as well as against Gemini Spark, which is one of the most annoying cards that is very popular right now, despite not being, in my opinion, one of the best decks. Sideboard, 1 Snowman Eater, that's just for Hero Beat and an extra Debris target because this deck lacks Debris targets, losing Lone Fire Blossom. That's another reason why we are playing Knight Assailant. He's just another level 3 Debris target to supplement that loss of Lone Fire Blossom. Snowman Eater in the side is that, 1 Kaiku to help stop graveyard stuff, 2 DD Crow to go up to 3 in the matchups where it matters, 2 Cyber Dragon, this card is just heat, 1 Battle Fader, this helps stop you from getting OTK'd, double Vanities, Brain, Soul Exchange, these are your going second package, you can bring it in versus just about anything. Compulsory, just want a second one, Double Dust, and a Starlight Road. I have yet to side in the Starlight Road, I'm probably going to cut it. I was siding Pulling the Rugs at the beginning of this video, and I subsequently cut them by the end of this video because I was frustrated with their performance. So let's go ahead and get into the replays. These are probably some of the most frustrating games I've ever played, these 3 matches. They were frustrating for various reasons, but I'll go through it. The reason I'm doing replay 2 is because Quickdraw is hard to play live and narrate. That's pretty much it. You guys don't understand. It's really fucking hard to narrate and play accurately at the same time. Like, when I'm not speaking out loud, I play so much fucking better. But yeah, I make a couple mistakes in this video. You guys will see. Anyway, I'm playing against Thomas Darn, aka Tommy Dang. You may recognize him. He was a top 8, not top 8. He was a finalist. He was the winner of the most recent PS5 tournament at Card Addiction. He's top 8 at everything in his life with fairies, so I know he's playing fairies. He set Treeborn and Bottomless Trap Hole. He knocks me game 1, which is lovely. Flips Honest, summons Dialk, and I'm looking at my Bottomless like, fuck me. That was pretty bad. So we're going to take 2,900 here, and that's a shitload of damage. It's just too much damage for us. Our hand is pretty bad. We're not really equipped to deal with Dialk plus Honest pressure. But we find our own Honest, so thankfully our hand corrects itself. I can set that Honest and pass alongside the compulsory. So now what I'm expecting him to do is just banish the top, attack the set with Dialk. I'm not sure what he's predicting it to be, though, because we have 2 sets and he's seen a Treeborn Frog. So he's probably a little bit confused. So he's just going to activate Dialk, and he's actually going to summon a DD Warrior Lady to try and banish this. He hits his other Honest, which is really good for us. That means he's not going to have that second Honest. We've got Bottomless for DD Warrior Lady, which is nice that our Bottomless actually gets used game 1 versus fairies. He attacks into the Honest. We reveal it, and he doesn't use his own Honest. And I think this is like a huge mistake. I think he should absolutely trade his Honest for my Honest, because if Dialk dies, then he can get back another Honest. So him spending the Honest here isn't even bad. And then on top of that, now that he's seen this Honest, what are you going to do? Next turn use the like Honest on it? Like, what is the point? Let me see his hand. Let me see that. Like, yeah, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to herald the Honest? Like, what is your plan here? I think you definitely trade the Honest with the Honest so you can continue to pressure with Dialk. I have dropped low here, and you have that torrential. Like, you just have such a good situation here if you spend the Honest on the Honest. Like, it's just so good for you. I'm forced to summon another monster, maybe attack the Dialk. You can maybe get your torrential value there. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, I feel like spending the Honest to trade with mine is like a good situation to be in, because then you can keep up the pressure. As it stands here, I draw a hamster. I'm able to set that and just pass. And now he's in kind of a bad spot where, like, he has to synchro. But, like, this is such a terrible synchro. Now your torrential is bad. And your Goyo Guardian, like, what are you expecting to do? Steal my Honest? Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? I'm just going to take my 2-for-1 here. I'm going to compulsory the Goyo Guardian. But I've still got this hamster, which is really nice. He sets a new back row. It's Legacy of Yugioh, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm flipping hamster. He's got game 1 oppression, but this actually favors my deck, because the threat versus me is actually Archlord Christia. So what he should have done here was actually herald my hamster and not flip the oppression, or just torrential when the Raikou summoned and take your torrential trade. Like, literally just trade your torrential there, and don't flip your oppression until you've basically at least gotten a better position. His position is so bad. He has no pressure. He has no monsters. Him flipping oppression here is so bad. It's so bad for him. You don't want to flip Royal Oppression. Like, sure, it's a +1, but now you've lost all of your positional advantage, right? I'm just going to summon Thunder King. It forces the torrential anyway. He draws Dust Tornado. He's forced to Legacy to try and find something. And look how awkward this is, right? You can't even summon your own Christia. You're forcing me to out the Royal Oppression. Dust Tornado can't target your own spell and traps. So you're just kind of stuck here. You have to Honest Poke. But even though our life total is getting low, it's really not that big of a deal. I can just summon Thunder King, hit for 19. Now, I should have predicted Space Typhoon here, but I didn't. So I set Torrential, and he does have the dust for it, but that's fine. He's forced to use the book off the top. Doesn't shuffle his hand, so I know he top decked that book. He's going to summon that Honest and run over my Thunder King. I don't think this play is good. I think he should have just set his Honest and set the book. Like, just wall me out. I can't get over your guy. And then if I go for Caius, you can Herald of Orange Light the Caius. I think this play is bad. I think this is a waste of a book, and it leaves you kind of wide open to pressure from us. We're going to set our own Honest. I think he does know that we have our own Honest, so that's why he wanted to, like, set the Thunder King, because he knew we could trade our Honest for his Honest. Once again, probably should have just taken that trade earlier on, but alas, here we are. Cyber Valley gets summoned. We find Quickdraw here. We flip the Honest. We're able to attack the Cyber Valley. In order to play around brain control, I'm just going to bounce and reset the Honest. Pass the turn. He goes ahead and sets a Shining Angel, sets a Bottomless. We draw Card Trooper. Not very good, but we are going to attack his set monster. If it's Shining Angel, I want to start getting him upwards of 5 fairies so that when the Royal Oppression inevitably does leave, we do win. He gets DD Warrior Lady. I'm cool with that. I'm just going to set this and hope to trade. He attacks, and he banishes the Warrior Lady. And I'm shocked by this decision. I'm like, once again, he could trade his Honest for my Honest, go up to 4 fairies, hope to find his own Typhoon or Heavy Storm, and then special Christia and win. He's not really playing to the deck's game plan very well, I think. Because the way this deck wins is this card right here. It's not this card right here. This doesn't beat my deck. People think Royal Oppression is good against Quickdraw, and it can be. Like, don't get me wrong, but you have to have pressure with it. If you don't have pressure with it, like, Royal Oppression is not very good versus Quickdraw. He's forced to set Card Trooper. Honestly, once again, probably should have just set the Honest, because I can run over Card Trooper, you know, pretty easily. I set my own Card Trooper. He draws Herald of Purple. He's going to set his Honest now, but now I'm going to go for Caius on his first set, because I think that one is the Honest. And it's not. It's a Card Trooper. He bottomlesses my Caius, but I've drawn Gores. So I'm just big chilling, you know. He's going to set Raikou. Smart play, not attacking into the Gores. We drew Bottomless. I'm going to go ahead and set my Honest, set the Bottomless. The reason I set the Bottomless here is because if he Tribute Summons Christia, we have to Bottomless it. He does play accurately around this. He doesn't Tribute Summon the Christia, and he attacks for 1300, and we're not able to drop our Gores, which is really annoying. That being said, you'll notice Honest is the 5th monster in our graveyard for Pot of Avarice. So one of the reasons I really like Honest is it's a hand trap. It's a monster that also fuels Pot. Here we draw Lila, which is amazing because that can clear the oppression at our own discretion. I'm going to go ahead and Pot of Avarice, shuffle 5 cards back. Draw 2 new ones. We draw Dandelion and Foolish Burial. We summon Lila and we activate target Royal Oppression. And what he should have done here was Herald of Orange Light the Lila, because then we just lose. But he didn't. So now we get a quick draw, pitch Dandy special. And I know the set monster's Honest because he only plays 1 Raikou. I know his deck list. I can run over the Raikou. He's going to take 500. And then I can make Drill, main phase 2. Activate the effect, pitch my Foolish, end phase mill 3. And pass the turn. And now we're just totally safe. Like, our position is so much better against his because he didn't herald our Lila. If he just heralded our Lila, we would have lost. Like, probably guaranteed. He knew my back row didn't stop Raikou Honest attack last turn, so it's not going to stop it the next 2 turns. Drop me to 1600, have brain control for game. Instead here, he doesn't brain my Lila, double tribute for Christia. Even tribute set Christia is a good play here. Even tribute summon Christia, you have Herald of Purple. There's literally no reason not to brain the Lila. Tribute, summon Christia, attack over the token. If I try to Bottomless, you just Herald of Purple. I fucking lose. I literally can't win. And if I do out the Christia, you have Gores. I don't understand his play this game. He's going to Herald of Orange the Drill Warrior. My brother in Christ, that Christia would have stopped my Drill Warrior. Anyway, we attack directly for 19. He does drop that Gores. But main phase 2, we have Chaos Sorcerer to banish the Gores. So we pass the turn. He does have this 1900 token, and he can win the game this turn if he assesses the situation accurately. And he does. So he wins. So despite misplaying like a bajillion million times, that Honest that he saved ended up winning him the game. We had a pretty bad draw there into a couple of different things. We didn't find a lot of Raikous. We didn't find a lot of Honests. But whatever, you know. We sideboard. So how I sideboard in this matchup was I brought in the Snowman. I brought in Kaiku. I know you're thinking, Keegan, he can just crash into Kaiku. Sure, but when he does, I get to banish his fairies. So it's good for me. So I brought in Kaiku. I brought in the Vanity's Fiends. I brought in the Soul Exchange. I brought in my Brain Control. And I think I brought in Compulsory as well as Dust Tornadoes. So I brought in like 10 cards. What did I side out? Well, I sided out both quick draws. I think I sided out something like Sangan maybe. I don't really remember what I sided out now that I'm thinking about it. I know I sided out both quick draws, but I'll piece it together as we're watching the game. So I get to go first, which is amazing for quick draw. Quick draw is like one of the best decks going first. Let's not look at his hand just yet. I'm going to set Card Trooper, set Typhoon. I know he plays Knock. I also know he plays Mind Control. I know he plays quite a few cards that can punish this. Turn 1, set Card Trooper. Like, maybe, I don't know. If he thinks it's a hamster or whatever, he won't attack into it anyway. So, he's going to summon Shining Angel, and he's going to attack. And we're just going to draw our card. I'm pretty happy about that. It also tells him that we probably don't have Raikou, even though we do. End phase, I'm going to Typhoon his Dust Shoot. He loses the information. I'm going to set Raikou, pass the turn. He's going to summon Warrior Lady, thinking this is maybe a Dandelion or a Sangan. It's actually Raikou. And we're going to be able to blow up Shining Angel and mill 3, and we get a lucky mill. We hit Dandelion and Treeborn Frog, which is like the nuts. And because of this mill, all of a sudden our whole hand is just gas, like straight busted. We bring back Treeborn, we Caius the DD Warrior Lady. He doesn't use Herald of Orange, he doesn't have Herald of Orange. We're able to attack directly for 24. I could have waited on this attack, but I figured if he has Gorge, we have Honest plus Compulsory plus Trag. We have a lot of ways to deal with Gorge, so I was thinking, okay, if he has Gorge, then we can deal with it if we need to. He sets a monster, draw phase, or standby phase, I'm going to Compulsory, bring out my Treeborn, sack for Vanities, drop him to 800. Normally this would be scary because of Brain Control, but since he's at 800, he can't activate Brain Control, pass the turn. He's going to normal summon Cyber Valley, pass the turn. We're going to draw Vanities. Now we could Avarice here, but I don't want to shuffle back my Dandy and my Treeborn. I want to force him to out these 2 cards before I Avarice. I'm just going to attack. I could have also Tribute summoned Trigodia and then Avarice and hope to draw like Treeborn or DD Crow. Oh, I sided out DD Crow. That's one of the cards I sided out. I could have hoped to hit Treeborn off my Avarice to steal his Cyber Valley, but that's just like so greedy. Really no reason to do that. He draws for a turn. He sets a monster, passes the turn back, sets a couple back row, and he DD Designators naming Heavy Storm. We reveal our hand. We do not have Heavy Storm in our hand. Although we've been posturing like we do, we do not have it. So we get to banish a card randomly from his hand. He's a big fan of this card because it does give him info, but he's just going to lose a card here for no... He's losing 2 cards here for no reason, and they're both really good cards. Like Honest and DD Designator, like imagine the DD Designator was just a different card, like a Compulsory or something. It would have been so much better here. We draw our own Compulsory. We attack the set. It's Raikou. He's forced to pop Caius. And because he popped Caius here, I know his 2 back row don't out Caius. Look at that. 800 with the Brain Control. Mills 3. Normally I don't condone leaving in Brain Control versus Quickdraw. I think it's a bad card to leave in versus Quickdraw. But I think in this matchup it's okay. Because you can Tribute summon Christia and that's your win con. So it's just a way to win the game. I set Compulsory because I'm like, I'm just going to win. I'm going to Compulse his monster and he's not going to be able to win. But he did find another back row, so I'm like, that could potentially be real. We'll draw. We'll attack for 24. He did draw the Mirror Force, but I do know that that other back row does not stop me. So I'm going to just summon my other Vanities after I Avarice to conceal information on what I drew. So I'm going to shuffle up, draw 2 cards, sacrifice for Vanities, pass the turn. He's going to set a monster, sacrifice for Caius, banish his monster, and that's going to be game 2. So DD Designator miss, dead Brain Control. We had full initiative. He played poorly around our sets. And we were just able to crush, so that's going to be that. Now game 3 is difficult because we're going second. He starts off with Summon DD Warrior Lady. This is a smart play. Summon DD Warrior Lady is actually pretty hard for the Quickdraw deck to deal with effectively. Bottomless is no longer live. If I was playing Titanial, I would have to trade it with the Warrior Lady, and it represents Honest as well. I'm going to go ahead and just charge for Raikou and set it. I don't think there's really anything to say about this hand. I have Compulsory to protect my Raikou. I could have set Snowman Eater to play around Knock better. He goes for Knock, but I'm just going to trade Compulsory with Knock and hope that my Raikou sticks around. But he has DD Designator, so he's able to take my Raikou out of my hand anyway. So I'm like, alright, that's annoying, but I still have my Snowman Eater. I still have one of my Compulsories. Like, my hand is still okay. He's going to summon Shining Angel. We're going to take some big damage here. This is actually like a really annoying amount of damage. One of the ways this deck can kill you is double Honest in the mid to late game. I'm basically forced to set Snowman, and then he has a second. He has the Mind Control, which is really good. So 3 power spells. Pretty good for him here. He's going to flip the Snowman, blow it up, attack for 14. I could have compulsed my Snowman Eater, but I have a normal summon for next turn anyway. So what I'm going to do is actually going to compulse the Shining Angel, and I'm only going to take 15 here, because I just don't want my life total to drop too low. So he sets the Shining Angel, I summon Lila, I attack the DD Warrior Lady, and thankfully I drew Gores. He didn't draw into Honest off the Legacy, so we're okay. We're like stable. He attacks for 1400. I'm going to drop Gores, get my token, draw for turn. It's Vanity's Fiend. I'm going to go Caius, target Angel, just in case. And then I'm going to attack with just Caius. He's forced to Mirror Force if he has it. He doesn't. He Brain Controls my Gores, so another reason to leave in Brain Control in this matchup. He runs over the Caius, but there's not a lot of conversion for Fairy for a 7-star. He can't Herald Synchro with it, but he does have a conversion. He has Cyber Valley. So a lot of power spells really adding up for him. And he's able to draw 2 cards, and he like pulls really far ahead here. He finds another DD Designator, and he's able to name my Dandelion that he knows about. We do top deck Thunder King though, which is part of the reason why I like this card. If you get into top deck shenanigans, it is pressure. It stops things like Christia. It stops things like Synchro plays. Stops things like Cyber Dragon. He's forced to set a monster and pass. I don't like this play from him, but it's okay. He mind crushes, names Vanity's Fiend. I think did I not reveal my hand? I was supposed to reveal my hand, but it's not a Vanity's Fiend. I was supposed to reveal my hand there. It doesn't end up mattering. Yeah, it does kind of matter. I said he's so bad for attacking the Sandgan, but I should have revealed the Sandgan anyway. So that's on me. That's actually a mistake. Sack for Caius. Target the angel that I know about. Attacking the angel that I don't know about. And I'm like, well, fuck me. Now I'm going to lose my Caius. If he has a Thunder King of his own, he beats us. Thankfully, he just has a bunch of anti-spell and trap cards. And as you can see, we've drawn literally all monsters and 2 compulsory. The entire game. Just all monsters, 2 compulsory. He just attacks into the Caius. Honest's over it. We drop down to 400. We top deck Chaos Sorcerer. Very lucky top deck. We're able to banish that DD Warrior Lady. We summon in defense here because we don't want him to be able to crash or honest me for game. He sets monster, sets back or passes. We draw Debris Dragon. I'm going to go ahead and synchro into Ancient Fairy and attack over his set. Now I am in a position where I can lose to honest now. So I'm in a bad spot, but if he's setting Herald of Purple, that means he's got dead cards in his hand, dead heavy storms and stuff. He legacies, he finds another Herald, I find Thunder King, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going for game. And somehow, despite bricking out of my goddamn mind and getting DD Designator twice and getting knocked and mind controlled twice and dropping down to 400 life points, a series of really strong top decks in Debris Dragon, Chaos Sorcerer, and Double Thunder King was enough to pull us back into this game against his series of really bad top decks. So, yeah, it was a close game. It was a really close game. But ultimately, answering cards in the hand is worse than answering cards in play. Because every turn he was able to answer something in my hand, I was still able to make my plays. So he wasn't buying any time. And I think that that's the issue with DD Designator and Mind Crush, is that they're good against some unfair decks or decks that are holding their cards too much or whatever. And they're good when you have like Christia and you just need to name it out. But when you don't have Christia, they don't answer the cards that are actually beating you. And so that's kind of what happened here. He didn't have ways to answer the monsters that were in play. He only had ways to answer spells and traps and ways to answer cards in my hand. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that that's why, like, as much as I like DD Designator as a card, and I think it is powerful in the instances in which it's powerful, that's kind of my biggest gripe with it. All right, the next match is versus Lava Golem. Ah, fuck, you guys are seeing the end of it. You guys are seeing the end of it. Spoiler alert. Oh, scuffed. Just don't look. Don't look. Whatever you do, look away. Look away. Look away. Look away. I win the die roll. I get to go first. Opponent's playing 42 cards. So I start off with Set Ryko Pass. He special Cyber Dragon game 1 in a 42 card deck, and Caius is my monster. I'm like, well, that's fucking awesome. Attacks for 24. We draw DD Crow, which is actually a really good draw. I set Sandgan. He summons Doom Caliber Knight, and this is why DD Crow is a really good draw. He attacks. I DD Crow to destroy his Doom Caliber. He attacks my Sandgan. Probably didn't need to attack it, but we're able to search Dandelion as a result. And now we have Lila Break plus Quickdraw Dandelion in the same turn. In double Quickdraw builds, I actually really like having Lila, just because of this specific play. So Lila breaks the Solemn, and then I go Quickdraw Dandy, I summon Turbo Warrior, and then attack after I Foolish Dandelion, because I just want to have 5 dudes in play. Well, I want to Avarice first to see if I want to attack yet. But yeah. You get the idea. We draw Caius, Space Typhoon, which is good here. Attack over it for 100. I mill 3. He allures. He banishes Chaos Sorcery. Summons Lila, attacks my Lila, sets 2, passes. He mills 3, mills Plague. And this is my first mistake of the game. I didn't register that he milled Magic Planter. I just looked at his graveyard and was like, oh, he milled a Plague. And so far what I've seen is like he's just playing like a Lightsworn Chaos deck. He's got Lila, he's got, you know, Plague, he's got Chaos Sorcery, he's got Solemn, sure, but like Cyber Dragon in the main usually means pretty back row light, right? Because you have to cut either back row or good monsters to play Cyber Dragon. And Chaos Sorcerer, so I'm like, he's probably pretty back row light. I didn't register that he had Magical Planter in the graveyard, so this is a mistake. I'll get into it in a second. I draw phase priority. I said priority and draw step. Space Typhoon to play around, Dust Shoot. And seeing that Space Typhoon confirmed my bias a little bit that, you know, he's playing light back row. Caius target his back row, and he concedes. So for game 2, I sided out Heavy Storm and Space Typhoon. I straight up just sided them out. And I was like, he's playing Chaos. So I sided in, like, Pulling the Rug at the time. And I'm Pulling the Rug in my sideboard. I sided in Kaiku. I sided in Cyber Dragons. I sided in Vanities. And I think I even sided in DD Crows. So that was my mistake number 1, not registering the Magical Planter. He starts off with Thunder King set back row. I set Raikou, set Bottomless Pass. He attacks. I'm like, fuck it. His back row isn't good. I'm just going to blow up the Thunder King. You know what I mean? That card's annoying. I milled Dandy. I'm like, how can I lose this game? I'm just crushing. I have Bottomless for his next Thunder King, and I'm on top of the world. I have Debris Dragon. I summon my Thunder King. I attack. He has Fiendish Chain. But even this is, like, so bad. This is another reason why Fiendish Chain is bad. Because, like, if he tries to Synchro or Special Cyber Dragon, I can negate it with Thunder King still. Because this doesn't work if my monster is no longer in play, right? So it's fucking crazy how good this is for me. Like, this position's awesome. I pass the turn. He goes Magic Planter. I'm like, oh, fuck. I totally forgot about the Magic Planter. He's probably playing something with hella trap cards. And then I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit tilted now, but it's fine. You know, it's chill. He sets a monster, sets a back row, passes. And I'm like, okay, I'm big chilling. I'm just going to summon Debris. And then he's going to call Thunder King. And I'm like, okay, I'll just make Starbucks Dragon. And then he's going to negate. I didn't realize that my Thunder King didn't have the Fiendish Chain on it. I could have crashed Thunder King into his Thunder King and then made Stardust main 2. I'm so fucking bad for not doing this. I was, like, not paying attention to this game at all. So 2 really critical misplays here for me. And then I Pot of Avarice, shuffle back my monsters. So you think, like, okay, whatever, you know, this happens. You know, a couple of misplays, but I'm still ahead, right? Like, I've got tokens, I've got Caius, I've got Compulsory. What could go wrong? So I Thunder King attack. Snowman pops my Thunder King. I'm like, great. Okay, that's really fucking annoying. Who sides in Snowman Eater versus Quickdraw? It's like one of the worst cards you could side in versus Quickdraw. But it's working out well for him. I set my Compulsory, pass the turn. He just passes. I draw my DD Crow. Again, not really a great card here. I'm going to go for Caius, target the Snowman. And he's going to chain Bottomless. I'm going to chain Compulsory to save my Caius, because I think Caius is going to get me more value. I Foolish my other Dandy to get more tokens, so he can't just out them all with, like, Cyber Dragon Caius. He draws, he passes the turn, and I'm like, alright, he's playing fucking Chaos, right? I'm going to banish his graveyard. So I'm going to summon my Kaiku and just banish his graveyard here, right? Deal 18, banish his graveyard. He special summons Cyber Dragon, attacks over the Kaiku, I take 300, he sets 2 more back row, and I'm like, alright, what's the game plan here? Let's go Caius, target Cyber Dragon. That's going to resolve. Okay, awesome. I'll attack for 24. Awesome. That works. He sets a new back row. I'm like, so far ahead here. Like, even though I'm down 2 cards functionally, because he's got Call, he's got 6 cards, and the Call can turn into a real card with Magic Planter. I'm still far ahead positionally and life points wise, so I'm chilling, right? I draw Thunder King. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I'm just gonna attack. He's forced to Mirror Force. I'm like, that's hella chill. I'm gonna charge now because Thunder King is, you know, Thunder King is gonna shut off my charge later. So I'll set my Raikou and pass. Here he draws a card for turn. He sets a back row. Draw phase activates Macrocosmos. And I'm like, okay, so his new back row is the only thing stopping me from attacking him, right? So I flip my Raikou, target his new back row. It's another Macrocosmos. I'm like, why the fuck didn't he flip the Macrocosmos last turn? I don't understand. Anyway, so we banish the top 3. I summon Thunder King. Attack with both. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of crushing it right now. That being said, you know, like, things can still go south, right? Somehow. There's Tragodia. So I'm like, alright. So he top deck Mirror Force. He top deck Tragodia. What does he top deck this turn? Nothing. He just had Caius. So he's going to Caius my Thunder King. Activate Return. And I'm like, bro, what am I playing against? The deck with Lila and double Macrocosmos? Like, what the fuck is this? And Call of the Haunted? Like, this was one of the most frustrating experiences. Because now I'm like, okay, now I lose my entire board. That's fair, you know? But I still have Debris Dragon to come back into the game, right? I can still Black Rose. He attacks over my whole board. I take a lot of damage. But that's cool, you know? That's chill. Again, you know, we're chilling. He attacks into the potential Gores. We don't have it. So, we don't have Trag either. Lucky for him. He sets a back row. The back row he drew for turn. End-phase loses all his cards. And I'm like, alright, so this deck's playing some weird shit, but whatever. I'm going to summon Debris, and he's going to activate Royal Oppression, pay 800, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? That's insane. That's so insane that he top-decked Royal Oppression. I'm like, bro, this is ridiculous. I take 2400. He sacks for another Caius off the top. And he said, that was lucky. And I'm like, yeah, you top decked like 4 perfect outers. Which I can't complain about, because in the last match, I top decked like 4 perfect outers. But, holy shit, this deck is bad. The deck I'm playing against is really bad. First off, Royal Oppression conflicts with Macrocosmos. Macrocosmos conflicts with Magic Planter. You can't even activate Magic Planter under Macrocosmos, because you have to send to the graveyard its cost, and you can't do that while Macrocosmos is face up. So the deck doesn't even work the way he thinks it works. But I lost to it anyway, because he had a series of insane top decks. On top of that, I sided poorly because I'm a dumbass, and I made a huge mistake early not sticking that Stardust Dragon. So I'm just sitting here like, fuck, how did that end up costing me the game? And I'm like tilted out of my mind. So I side a little differently for this one. I bring in my Dust Tornadoes, I bring in my Heavy Storm, my Typhoon, whatever, you know what I mean? I should be chilling, right? I should be chilling. I sided out Pot of Avarice. I open up with Pulling the Rug, and I open up, this is like one of the most fucking awkward hands ever, if my opponent opens specifically Banisher of the Radiance. Which I'm like, there's no shot he's playing that, right? Because he's playing Lightsworn monsters. He's playing fucking Plague Spreader Zombie. He's playing fucking, you know what I mean? Like, there's no shot he's playing Banish the Radiance. But apparently he fucking is, and he opens up with it. But he doesn't attack me. And I'm like, the only reason he wouldn't attack me is if he has Fiendish Chain, right? So I'm not going to go for Caius. Spoiler alert, he doesn't have fucking Fiendish Chain. So I'm like, bruh. So I set the Dust Tornado to prepare for Fiendish Chain, right? He attacks over my monster. I'm like, alright, there goes my Treeborn. That sucks, but at least I have this Dust, I have Gores, you know. I'm going to Lila. He has Bottomless. I'm like, okay, Lila didn't bait the Fiendish. So one of these other back row is Fiendish, right? He attacks for 16. I'm going to Dust, try to hit the Fiendish here. And I'm like, I got unlucky, right? I got unlucky because I missed the 50-50 on the Fiendish. But at least I have Gores, right? At least I have Gores to, you know, be big chillin'. He passes the turn. No, main phase 2, he Caiuses my Gores. Main phase 2, he Caiuses my Gores. So I'm like, okay, insane start from the opponent. But you know what? We're chilling. I have Caius here. And you know what? He didn't even have Fiendish Chain the entire time. He just fucking top decked it. And I'm like, bruh, okay, but this is still fine because he still needs to out my Caius, right? And I'm sitting here with this Pulling the Rug that's been rotting in my hand because I didn't have it the turn I was able to. I can't set it and protect my Gores at the same time, you know what I mean? It's just so fucking annoying that is the case. Snowman Eater pops my Caius. I'm like, okay, he has the out, right? I have Card Trooper, but that means his other back row has to be another Fiendish, right? In which case, like, I'm alright because I can go Card Trooper, mill for cost. He will not be able to Fiendish me, right? I'll run over the Snowman Eater, but then I'm chilling, right? Like, I'm just chilling. He sets a back row passes. I draw Foolish. I'm like, oh, that's perfect because I go Card Trooper, mill for cost. You know, I run over the Snowman Eater, and then main phase 2, I can Foolish a Light and then drop Chaos Sorcerer if I didn't hit one. I go Card Trooper, mill 3 for cost, and he chains Macrocosmos, and I'm like, bruh, he top decked Macrocosmos after all of this other fucking shit, and I'm just like so tilted. He drew like the perfect like fucking 6-card hand, like, to deal with everything I had in that specific order, too. And I was like, I am getting sacked by this bullshit, this fucking dog shit deck. And as you can see, oh my god, I'm not gonna get into it, but he goes return here. He blows his return, not realizing that he has no monsters in his banish zone. And I'm still fucking losing, so it doesn't matter. He just returns for nothing and pays half his life points and go -1. I'm like, bro, how the fuck am I losing to this shit? I set Debris Dragon because I'm like, I have no targets for it. So what am I supposed to do? I can't Foolish Burial under Macrocosmos. He goes Typhoon my Pulling the Rug, so at least it gets some value. It trades 1 for 1 with something. He attacks over my Debris, and I'm like, bruh, fuck me. I draw Compulsory. I set it. I pass. He attacks. I Compulsory. He doesn't Solemn. He doesn't activate Solemn to win the game immediately. So he gives me a chance, and I'm like, well, I'm dead to that Caius the next time it comes down. He goes Allure of Darkness, throwing the game, trying to banish his own... I'm losing to the fucking Macrocosmos Pot of Avarice deck. What the fuck is this? How am I breaking more than this? That is the real question. How am I breaking more than this? How have I not drawn Hamster or Raikou the entire fucking 15 cards into my deck? I haven't drawn Hamster or Raikou. What the fuck? I also haven't drawn Snowman. Like, I haven't drawn anything. I finally draw Raikou. But at this point, it's like, okay, I need him to not have specifically Cyber Dragon plus another Caius. I need him to not specifically have Doom Caliber Knight. I basically just need him to have, like, a slower situation here so I can resolve this Raikou. I set the Raikou, and he rips perfectly Doom Caliber Knight, so he's able to OTK me. Or not OTK me, but beat me. And I said GG's, and he said lol. And honestly, yeah, it was not a good game. There are some times where I want to say GG's, but, like, this match gave me a fucking conniption. I, like, had to leave. Is conniption the right word? I'm gonna Google if that's the right word. This match made me want to die. Like, I actually was so mad. I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, how am I losing this bullshit? And then when I rewatched the replay and I noticed how fucking terrible his deck was and how fucking terribly he played, I got tilted. I was like, Quickdraw ain't it. Quickdraw cannot be it if I am losing to this fucking bullshit. Oh my god, I was so tilted. I'm like, that's just Yu-Gi-Oh. Sometimes you get Yu-Gi-Oh'd. Sometimes you get Yu-Gi-Oh'd by like the worst fucking deck I've ever seen in my entire life. All right, third match is versus the real Jack. Speaking of getting Yu-Gi-Oh'd. All right. Getting into it. The real Jack versus me, and I'm going second. So I'm like, all right, at least I can Black Rose. He goes Allure of Darkness, Banish Malicious. Questionable, but okay. He opens up with Future Fusion, and I'm like, wait, did he shuffle his hand? Let's go ahead and revisit the tapes. Because I'm like, if you had Future Fusion and Allure of Darkness, and you chose to Allure of Darkness, and you drew into Malicious, let's find out. Let's just find out real quick. Okay, let's just find out. So the 6th card is Allure, obviously. Are we really activating Allure before Malicious? Is that really what's happening? Or not Malicious, sorry. Allure before Future Fusion. Is that really what's happening here? Do we really want to draw into the second Malicious? Notice, Allure first, doesn't shuffle the hand. Reveals that he both has Malicious and Future Fusion in his hand. Insane. Also insane, he doesn't banish the evil guy. He banishes the Malicious. Because he has Plague to unbrick this other Malicious, I'm absolutely shocked. So like 6 misplays in the first 5 seconds, basically. The first misplay, not activating Future Fusion first. The second misplay, Allure of Darkness, banish Malicious instead of evil guy. Well, the second misplay is technically Allure of Darkness, not shuffle your hand, and then banish Malicious instead of evil guy. So three mistakes, and then 4th mistake, he's going to send Malicious Treeborn. He's going to set a monster, set a back row, doesn't set the Plague. So I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck am I watching? Literally, what the fuck is happening? I'm like so confused. I'm like, well, I'm just going to nuke the field and just be out my life. I'm like, the set monster, like, I just didn't understand. From what I saw this far, I was like, okay, he just messed up a bunch. You know, whatever. Summon Debris, special summon Dandelion, just nuke the field, blow up the field. And like, somehow, despite my opponent opening Future Fusion, Allure, like, Mirror Force, like, opening really fucking well, I'm just ahead. He says, what about the tokens? Dandelion is Chainlink 1, Black Rose Dragon is Chainlink 2. So, change resolve backwards. Keep the tokens. He brings out Treeborn, and then just passes. And I'm like, what? Why are we bringing it out to pass against Debris Dragon deck? You know what card I play. I play Caius the Shadow Monarch. And I'm gonna attack. And the reason I'm gonna attack is because I have Debris into Ancient Fairy with Honest backup to play through Gores. So I'm just gonna attack for 24. Pass the turn. And now he has to Mind Control Caius, Summon Plague, Synchro into Stardust, attack the token. But like, I'm in such a good spot here. I should not have been in this good of a spot here. He could have sequenced this a million different ways. That would have been much better for him. I Debris Dragon into our boy, Ancient Fairy, get 2 tokens, and attack over with Honest. Now, this is a little bit awkward because I am going to lose my Ancient Fairy Dragon to a potential Goyo Guardian thanks to that Plague. But, you know, maybe we Avarice into another Honest here. So I think it's fair to go for it. And maybe we Avarice into a Trap card as well. So I think it's like smart to go for it and then just risk the 2. It says, who the fuck plays Honest? I do. And I think it's good. I think it's genuinely good. We don't draw a Trap card and we don't draw another Honest, but we draw follow-up, so it's not the end of the world. Pass the turn back. It says you are so far ahead of everyone. I got to hit him with a heart. He goes Rhoda for Stratos. Normal Stratos. Search. No target. Stack for Plague. Should have stacked for Plague first. Then normaled the Stratos to search for the target that you stacked on top of your deck. Heads up play. Summons Goyo. I banish his Plague there for him. He steals my Ancient Fairy. Sets a background, passes. Sack for Caius. Caius target Goyo Guardian. Pass the turn. He flips return. And I'm like, try not to play against someone who opens the absolute nuts challenge. Fucking impossible. I've gotten Future Fusion, Mind Controlled, Rota'd, and fucking returned in the first like 2 turns of the game. Like, bro, please, come on. My opponent has played this game so wrong. Like, I deserve to win this. I literally deserve to win this. He summons everything, and I'm like, he just makes Stardust Dragon here, and I lose. So he makes Thought Ruler. He goes Miracle. Banish the Treeborn and the Malicious to summon Absolute Zero. Doesn't switch the Ancient Fairy to get that extra damage. Attacks over the Caius. Gains life points. Attacks. Deals me 2,800. Main phase 2 stacks for Plague, and I'm like, fuck, he's going to make the Stardust now. He's going to make the Stardust, and I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose the game. Like, even if he does make Stardust, I can make Ancient Fairy in defense and stall. But it's just bad for me. Like, stalling is bad for me, right? He synchros into Stardust. Just kidding. He synchros into Colossal. Why did we not make a Stardust at any point in this sequence? Did we not see the Debris Dragon blow your field up on the first turn of the game? Like, it's one thing to play around something to not play around something that you don't know about, right? Like, maybe you've never played versus Quickdraw before. Maybe this is your first game of Edison, right? But it's a totally different thing to not play around something that happened to you 2 turns ago. Like, what the fuck? So I just summoned, I blow up the field. Like, I honestly do deserve to win this game. The Absolute Zero blows up my tokens. He draws his card that was bricked, passes the turn back. We're going to go Thunder King, attack for 19. Thunder King can stop Synchro Play. If he goes for another Absolute Zero, we have Night Assailant to deal with it. So he sets back row, sets monster pass. I activate Avarice now. This deck is, when this deck feels its best, is when you have Dandy in the graveyard and you're just resolving multiple Debris Dragons. That's when this deck feels like it's at its best. I attack his set monster. I set Raikou. He passes. I attack directly. No need to play into Torrential. Just hit for 19, pass. He sets another back row. Again, 19 again. How did I win this game? How did I win this game? My opponent, he made like 17 play errors. And if he had made 16 play errors, I would have lost. But alas, here we are. He says GG, and I'm like, damn, I stole this one. I was like, game 2, man. Let's just go game 2. Like, I don't feel comfortable saying GG after that one. That was, just like I messed up the last game. My tiny micro decisions losing me a match versus the worst deck I've ever seen. My opponent makes a bunch of like macro errors, you know what I mean? No pun intended. And he starts off with Future Fusion again. I'm like, well, fuck me, And this time he's going to make the Stardust Dragon because he's learned. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on you. Passes the turn back after setting 3 back row, and I'm like, well, at least I have Caius. So I'll set Dandy, set 3, pass the turn. He attacks my Dandy. I get 2 tokens. I pass the turn back. Or he passes the turn back to me. So now I'm going to show you guys super secret play. I summon Caius, target Stardust Dragon. He activates Bottomless Trap Hole. Now, one thing he should do here is actually chain his Stardust to his own Bottomless Trap Hole. Negate the own Bottomless. Caius will resolve without effect because the target will be in the graveyard due to the cost of Stardust Dragon. End phase, you get your Stardust Dragon back. Stardust beats my Caius 1v1. Stardust can attack into the back row because you did it last turn. And then you end up with a Stardust Dragon as opposed to ending up with nothing at the cost of only 2,400 life points. But instead, he thinks his life points is more important. He's just going to trade 2 for 2 with me, which is amazing because I come out on top, being the person with the token. I don't know how I summoned this Thunder King here, but that is definitely cheating. So this game is messy. You'll notice this game is messy. I normal summoned twice in the same turn because I was so blown away that he bottomless and didn't chain his own Stardust that I forgot that I normal summoned the Caius that turn. Like, I legit forgot I normal summoned the Caius that turn. So I summon the Thunder King, I attack. He doesn't notice that I summoned 2 monsters in the same turn. I Typhoon his Future Fusion, and this just resolves, and I pass the turn. I'm like, I'm crushing now. Obviously, because I fucking cheated. Which is insane. He goes Rhoda, but he can't because Thunder King stops it. This is one of the messiest games I've ever played. Remember how at the beginning I was like, narrating makes me misplay more with this deck? I misplay even fucking not narrating with this deck, apparently, which is crazy. So, yeah, Brain Control takes the Thunder King. He stacks for Plague. He synchros. We Torrential here. Reason we Torrential is because I want to set Raikou and have Bottomless. He has Return. I'm like, opponent, not open, Future Fusion, Brain Control, fucking Return, challenge, impossible. And I lose because not only does he have all of this, he fucking has Dark Arm too. So I'm just like, bruh. And he doesn't even activate the Dark Arm. He says, fuck it, your back row isn't real. And I'm like, dude, come on. Come on. So even cheating, I can't win, apparently. So game 3, I fucking... Yeah, obviously the cheat, quote unquote, was unintentional. But, yeah, I'm just bewildered by this game. Game 3, I just start off with set Hamster, set Solemn. And I'm like, if he has Future Fusion, at least I can Solemn it. Summons this guy in defense, but you have to summon him in attack. This does matter for reasons. Sacrifices for Malicious, attacks my Hamster, and I'm just crushing here. I'm going to grab Raikou. And then he's going to draw a card from the Evil Guy Prodigy effect. I'm going to start with Thunder King here because in case he drew Rhoda or a way to make a synchro like Deep Sea Diva, I'd rather have Thunder King in play than Caius. I'd rather not be forced to solemn something, basically. And I want to Crow as Malicious. I don't want to give him a chance to Malicious the sack for Caius. He just passes the turn back. Another thing is Thunder King also prevents Evil Guy Caius if he has his other Evil Guy. You'll notice he has back rows. He's just not setting them. Super poly. Wild. Wow. Crazy hand. Now that I'm looking at it. I'll just show it for you guys. Yeah, I just attack with both. If he has Gores, we can just Raikou, Caius, pop both. Pass the turn. He draws Dark Arm, sets Crow, sets 2 back row. We draw Dust Tornado. I flip Raikou. I blow up his back row. I mill 3. I hit Dandelion. Sack for Caius. And we have Solemn, so this is game. And we attack. One of the weirdest matches I've ever played. One of the weirdest fucking matches I've ever played. I don't understand this match. I don't understand it. I don't understand why he didn't set return. Try to return back his Malicious, sack it for Caius. I don't understand anything that happened. This was inarguably one of the most confusing days of my life. And now I'm timed out due to inactivity. Let me go ahead and go back to the deck list. So, reflections. I've been testing for a tournament a couple weeks from now. It might even be next weekend. I'm not even sure when it is. But I've been testing for the tournament at Xanadu, at the racetrack at Xanadu. And I've been thinking to myself, like, I want to play Quickdraw. And, like, after those games, my confidence is shaken. I don't really know if I want to play Quickdraw anymore at that tournament. I don't really know what I'm going to play at that tournament. So leave a comment below if you made it to the end of this video, what you think I should start testing for next weekend's 1K, the Starlight DD Crow tournament at Xanadu. Yeah, and I'll test that deck. Peace.